All right, Evan Lazar, we're live here, Patriots post-game show. Patriots and the Texans. The Patriots lose. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that this is a devastating, potentially season-ending loss for the Patriots. Again, you absolutely could not lose, especially coming off the high of the big win last week against Baltimore. So there's a lot to break down with this game, but again, it's 27-20. 4-6 on the season. Before we get started, I just want to tell everybody at home, our sponsor here, Manscaped, 20% off, free shipping with the code PRESSPASS20 at manscaped.com. Once again, 20% off and free shipping with the code PRESSPASS20 at manscaped.com. And Evan, let's just get started. I think the obvious story here is the pass defense was shredded. Any pass rush and receivers were open. Corners were asked to cover for a long time. While obviously Deshaun Watson was making ridiculous throws all game long. But this is, I can't remember the last time the Patriots secondary got picked apart like this.
Well, I think that really what we're seeing is that Deshaun Watson, in a lot of ways, is Bill Belichick's kryptonite. They have not been able to figure out how to defend Deshaun Watson properly in any of the matchups that they have gone up against him. 2017 was the game where he ran around like a madman and was able to create a ton of plays, extended plays with his legs, and he had guys diving after him. It didn't work out. 2018, they had a little bit of a better performance against him, but then 2019, 2020, two huge games, back-to-back years for Deshaun Watson. They just can't seem to figure that guy out. They can't figure out how to defend him. Last year, they came after him. They blitzed him a ton. That didn't work. This year, they played coverage. That didn't work. I don't know what they need to do differently against Deshaun Watson, but clearly he has their number, and he's really, really good at attacking the middle of the field, moving guys with his eyes, influencing guys with his legs out of passing lanes. And, that's what we see time and time again. When they play Deshaun Watson, they have all sorts of trouble defending him.
Yeah, and that was, again, I know the tactic here, you're daring the Texans to run the ball, so you're putting three up front there, and you're dropping a ton of guys into coverage. Right. That created some rush lanes, but again, it's just the time that he had and the throws that he was making. Again, it was a lot to ask. There was some pass were running in circles at a couple times too. I thought, Evan, there was some miscommunication. Some guys that were open probably shouldn't have been, but I mean, a lot of those were just beating Patriots corners. Again, part of the reason being that Watson had time to throw, and he was just, I think you tweeted it, he couldn't have walked the ball out there any better than some of the throws he was making, particularly in the first half, which were just, you couldn't wait to get to the halftime there with that. So that's where we are here. It's 4-6. I mean, again, I don't know how much more there is to say about it. You're counting on your defense here. This felt like a game, again, Watson is their kryptonite, but it felt like a game where Texans can't really run the ball, so you know what they're going to do, and this plays to the Patriots' strength. Everything in this game played to the Patriots' strength. Both the fact that Patriots' strength of their defense is their pass defense, and you knew that the Texans were going to have to pass here to beat you, and their run defense is miserable. One of the worst in the league. And the Patriots, after that first drive, you're like, oh my goodness, they're going to run for 270 yards this game. And then it just went away. What happened there?
I have a feeling that Damien Harris, he's been injured. He's been on the injury report for a couple of weeks now. He had the chest and then he had an ankle injury as well. That's the only explanation I can come up with against this bet, other than the score, right? Just getting too far behind to throw the football at times. But really, until the fourth quarter, only carrying the ball 11 times and really only doing it on, I have to go back and watch it and actually chart it, but it felt like every other run was one of those crack toss plays, which went absolutely nowhere after the Texans sort of got a beat on what exactly they were doing. The opening drive, they go right down the field. They use the crack toss to get in. Damien Harris walks into the end zone from 9 yards untouched. From that point on, the Texans, really their defensive backs, their outside corners, were triggering downhill on those lead blockers.
And there was nowhere to go.
And there was nowhere to go. They figured that out. The Patriots didn't really want to figure out an inside running game and get going that way. And that's it. They threw the ball really well. The Patriots did, especially for the fact that everybody thinks their receivers stink. They actually threw the ball with great efficiency in this game. But the problem really was picking up the blitz in key situations was a head scratcher that they just couldn't figure out. They did a much better job of that against the Jets and against the Ravens. So I was surprised to see how much they struggled with it, but the Texans had a bunch of free runners to the quarterback off of blitzes. Cam didn't really know where his answers were to get the ball out quickly. He did check into a few screen plays, and I know it drives people crazy, but when they're running, blitzing 6 guys at the quarterback, there's really not that much time to do anything besides throw a screen or throw a dump off in the flat or just get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. So I thought he checked into a couple of different good screens, but I don't know if it's a disconnect between the protection and how he's setting the front, how he's looking at the pre-snap read of the front and not adjusting the protection based off of that. If it's the receivers not understanding that they're hot, that they need to get open quickly because it's a blitz. If it's the O-line not picking guys up, it's probably an issue of all of those things. But today was one of the worst performances we've seen out of the Patriots against the blitz all year.
And it was, and that was, you force Newton into situations that he doesn't want to be in there. He was he had a lot of low throws when the pressure was coming. His feet weren't set. There were a couple times, again, it's hard to say not recognize the blitz, but they immediately put them, obviously that sack where he took it, put them into a 2nd and 17 late there in the 4th. Patriots can't really, when you're getting Pats into 2nd and long, 3rd and long, they're obviously going to struggle in those situations. And it forced a lot of incompletions there and took them out of their game. But otherwise, yeah, it was a fairly, they had to throw it, whether it was Harris' injury or whether the Texans just knew what was coming and they forced the Patriots into this. It became a Cam Newton game, and he was actually had, I thought, a pretty good game. He did have a few of those low throws, but he got the ball downfield. That play to Bird is the most explosive play that they've had all season long there. His first touchdown to a receiver all season, which is crazy. Bird had his Jacoby Myers game today when he was fantastic. Even Harry, absolutely invisible for the first 2.5, 3 quarters, then Cam started looking his way. So he was spreading the ball around a bit, and it just fell short.
Yeah, it really is what it is, and it just fell short is what I mean. And I feel like in a lot of ways, as I was watching this game unfold, I was like, this feels a lot like some of their close losses this year, where the situational execution and play calling just isn't good enough to get them over the hump, right? They're competitive, they're in the game, they're within 1 score, but just the 4th down play call or the 3rd down play call or execution of those plays and just these little things here and there. The Texans on the drive before the Patriots got the ball there at the end, they picked up a few first downs to run some clock that were key. Defending the middle of the field was a big problem for the Patriots defense. I just feel like this is how this team loses, right? They're right there. They have the ball in their hands with a chance to make a play late in the game. They punch the ball in to either tie it or win the football game. And the last 2 weeks, they've been able to make those plays. But on the whole this year, they haven't been able to make those plays. And basically outside of the Niners game, that's where 5 of their 6 losses came from. None of these losses were big-time blowouts. These are very close games. It's situational football. Got to know that's got to drive Bill Belichick crazy, that he can't get his team to lock down, 4th quarter, end of game type of situations, and they can't be tighter.